Now, with 10 million Nigerians reportedly involved in active drug use, substance abuse, there's no telling, the impact of the damage of, this addiction or habit on the dreams and on the future of the productive youth of the population. I mean, some dreams are bottled up in bottles, in cigarettes, and in substances. But how do we break, that negative cycle? It's an ongoing conversation. We've demonstrated our commitment to this conversation consistently on this subject matter. And we're doing that yet again with this particular segment. So joining us this morning for this conversation is Mr. Humphrey Eboweme. He's a drug educator and advocate who joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, and thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
So let's start this way. We have this conversation time and again, and we see, the effort of the agency, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, to tackling substance abuse, and of course to getting, all of these, substances off of the system, the market. What is the progress that you've seen so far with this effort?
Anyway, from where I come from, Scotland, we've experimented drug education into schools, and half of the states of America and United States, we've done similar things there, which my partners, the Truth About Drugs, in California, we work in joint partnership. Back to your question, Nigeria as entity, a country, they have some drug policies which are not really effective as per se. It's weakened. Their drug policies are weakened, and I've seen in 2021, 22, the new drug policy plan by Nigerian NDLEA, which I think is a bit going forward. It's like kind of the achieving success. So by this 2025, so that data has not really come out to see if that implementation, prevention of drug has worked. But anyway, when I went through it, the plan is kind of is moving a bit forward, and I hope Nigeria as a country will come to adapt to those policies.
So what are the missing components of the drug policy that you would rather see that will make the fight against substance abuse more effective?
There's really no missing component. The problem is that it is not well presented, it is not well followed up by the Nigerian law enforcement agencies. I think that their agency, NDLEA, was set up in 1989, and they had this drug act. They have the second one, which is the one for marijuana act, and some other, the one by NAFDAC in joint collaboration. But the key message is, I go with the word of James Borden, which says education is the key to anything you want to do. So in that aspect of education, Nigeria as a country has really lacked that moving forward when it comes to drug prevention, intervention, and treatment and rehabilitation. So the education is not there. So why touch life in Nigeria is the fact that we want to take it to the grassroots, whereby our kids, our children, could be involved in drug awareness program. When they are taught in schools and brought this message to the school from the grassroots, they are less likely to experiment with drugs. So the more they know the effect and harmfulness of drugs, the more they are less likely to experiment with it. So if they don't know the danger, no, they're just there. So it's like I had a meeting with the commandant of NDLEA Lagos State, Abubakar, and he said to me, I've had a series of people coming here talking about this same thing and all. But Touch Life is the only one that has actually come to the country to say, look, this is what we're going to do different. That education, everybody's just taking a holistic stuff. Though it's a multifaceted issues, so we have to approach it through educational standard with educational-based evidence, which we've implemented in Scotland and in United States. That is why I'm in partnership with Truth About Drugs.
So let's contextualize so that we can extrapolate. Where was it? So you've used two countries. You've used Scotland. You've also used the United States. And drug issues is literally endemic. It's literally everywhere. It's how it's addressed that is the most important thing. For us as a developing country, we already have a lot on our plate. So adding that is a lot of work. So what was it in the States where you worked on these projects and Scotland, and where is it right now? So that we can say, where is it now in Nigeria in your books, and if we implement what you did there, this is what it can take us in 5 years, at least in the short term or medium term.
What we've done is we have. That's why I was going to use that the toolkit. We have toolkits which we use for schools, which we give to kids, children, young adults, which they read. They get to know the fact and the truth about drugs, because all the drug dealers do or say, they lie. Everything they say to you, they lie. If you take this, it will make you party all night. If you do this, you will, sky's your limit. And but at the end, when they experiment or they try it, being peer pressure, friends experimenting things, want to know, get euphoria and get high, they tend to experiment it. But when you take it to the school and you tell them the danger involved, and good question you ask, some of the things is, we've had some few incidents that have happened all over the world. Take somebody like Michael Jackson, for example. They will tell you he died of drug overdose or as a result of issues of drugs involved in whatever medication he was taking. He overtook it. Then take Whitney Houston for another example, which died of diazepam that was prescribed for her, but she was taking it. But the fact remains that the problem about drugs is not the drug itself. It's the community, it's the people, it's the stigmatization by some of those staffs, and how do they get out of it. But when we take this message to the school, they tend to know that these things are not good. If we have some good role models in Nigeria to show, like you guys, I watch you guys literally on my bed every day in Glasgow, and me sitting with you is a big privilege to see you guys, that the same guys I watch. I know my wife will be wondering, but what I'm trying to say there is, how do we take this message further? I feel this is kind of, in Scotland, America, I have enemies. Because we speak the truth, we tell them the truth. The government don't want to hear the truth. But now I'm not fighting my own people. So I'm bringing that same drama to Nigeria.
I'm glad you made reference to icons like Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. And it shows that the information is out there about the dangers of drug use and the consequences. Yeah. So is it more the preventive approach of education, or we should look at the conditions that predispose potential abusers to taking it up as a habit that it now becomes incurable? And I'm referring, to the socioeconomic conditions back here in Nigeria, for instance, which predisposes young persons to seek escape, albeit, ill-informed, so to speak, from these things.
Yes, it is, in the sense that from what is happening when it comes to drug issues, it's never been discussed publicly. And the problem, as I said before, with drugs, is not the drug itself. It's we, the community, the people, How do we sit down and approach all these issues? What sort of preventive measures can we give? What sort of awareness? We're talking of campaign here. Let's do a workshop on campaigns on the issue and danger of drugs so that they would know the harmfulness involved in drug taking. So if we don't do that, we keep getting to the height of it. When we get there, we're coming back again. Like I had a conference in ISOP. We deliberated about these preventive measures. And I said to them, it's not working if we don't go to the grassroots. Because I give you a typical example, like what is happening in the UK, and which some of my seminars or lectures, I talked about drugs or this drug peddling of issues. Now, why am I taking it to the schools? And what was my research all about? Is the fact that I have found out that kids of 10, 12, 11 years old are now the drug traffickers. It's not the drug dealers on the street that we chase and hunt that the police stop every day. Drugs are now being pushed and being disseminated by children. While you're on the street waiting for the drug dealers, siblings give drugs to their friends, to their other things. They take it to school, give it to so and so person's brother. He's going to give you an envelope. People have phoned me up. They haven't listened to me. They were able to find out all these things. Some kids have 5 kg of heroin cocaine in their bags. But what do we parents do? We sat down.
Are these your findings in Scotland?
Yes.
So what are your findings about Nigeria?
Nigeria's own is that's what I'm saying, that we bring the drama to Nigeria, in the sense that Nigeria hasn't even got some of all these policies, all these things in place. They just live in like open world. Everything is just happening. So if we bring this message to the grassroots to let parents know that these things can happen, you can checkmate on your children. You don't have to distance yourself when your child have issues with drug problems.
So let's break it down for a moment. Go on time. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
So let's talk to a parent who has boys, maybe girls, or a combination of both.
Yeah.
And how would you suggest, or I propose to those parents to be able to maybe be able to track and get to know whether or not those children are involved in some of these practices or not? Because that's the most important part of this conversation, families.
Okay, families. Most times when you see your kids' attitude, when they come in from school or from outside, you see their attitude changes. Then sometimes they shy away from normal sitting down in the front room discussing. They don't want to associate anymore with family, with other members of the family. Sometimes they lock themselves in their rooms and feel they're okay with what is going on. So you start to think. Then they are great in school. It's another big example. You find as a grade A student that was performing, doing very well, is not dropping. You as a parent, you start to wonder what is going on. If your child is not coming home with C or D grade, and you say he's been a straight A student, what is causing it? You get what I'm saying? So you tend to, you don't distance yourself from those children. You tend to encourage them, tend to find, the issue of drug is always very difficult to discuss.
Sorry, sir. So how do we start the conversation? Just like starting a conversation around sex with little children, or sometimes it can be difficult to start those conversations. How do you start this kind of conversation with the child to be able to trace what they are doing? Is it that you first search before you start a conversation, or you start a conversation before you search? What exactly?
Yeah, I start from where I stopped before as a parent. I give you a typical scenario. Kids, what we parents want to see, and what happens in case of Nigeria, Nigerians don't care, is we come from work, we see our children either in the ready room or on the dining table doing their assignment or their homeworks. That's all we parents want to say. That guy's a good child. And but what's going on? No parents. In most times I hold seminars and conferences, I ask people, have you ever checked your child's book bag? They come up with no, they've not checked. Because all parents want to see is that these children are doing their assignment, they are okay. I bet you when you go to that child book bag, you will find what you are not supposed to see, either a weapon, drugs, or anything. So if you as a parent, you see such thing, you have to randomly check those things. Not when the kids are aware. Then you cannot know where to start tackling that issues. Then how to bring that topic to discuss about it with them.
Yeah, and I think the high point of this would be building a strong sense of community around young people, such that we can deter indulgence or even, falling to peer pressure when it comes to drug use. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We've been talking with Mr. Humphrey Eboweme. He's a drug educator and advocate who has joined us right here in our Lagos studio. And a warm regards to Mrs. Eboweme in Scotland, who watches the morning brief every morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.